Hello everybody, how you all doing? Welcome to another episode of Micks Mowers. In today's episode we're going to be taking a little walk around video on the Dennis lawnmower, the 1930-34 Dennis that I picked up. It's in non-running condition at the moment, but I thought I'd do a little walk around video. I might even try and start it up today if I can get a spark. But I just want to make myself a bit more familiar with the lawnmower because I have absolutely no idea where to start apart from my basic mechanical sort of experience with other lawnmowers. So they're all pretty much the same. You need certain ingredients to make a lawnmower go, and not having spark is definitely one of the ingredients that I do need. So have a look at that. I'm going to put the kettle on, make myself a quick cup of coffee, and without further ado, we'll get down and dirty and check out this Dennis lawnmower. Right, and here's the old girl. Just made myself a quick cup of coffee. Give it a quick little stir, and we'll make a start, eh? As I say, I might have a little look into try and get it running today if I can, but at the moment there's no spark on it at all, which is a bit of a problem. But it's got a 30-inch cut. It's got a free split roller. That's easy for me to say. Nice big fuel tank up here. 2 levers, one to engage your cylinder and one to engage your drive. That's how they both work, so you can independently operate those. The gear casing is on the left hand side as you face the back of the mower. Big chain drive on there. It's got a starting handle which it comes with. Now apparently, from what I'm led to believe, there's 2 cranking positions here, an upper and a lower, and from what I can see, they're saying one's a man's hole and one's a lady's hole. The lady's hole's easier to crank, which is this one. Okay, and you can hear the points clicking and what have you. And this is the man's hole, which is slightly harder to crank over. And now what they're saying is that you use the lower hole for cold start, and you use the upper hole for when it's been fired up previously. Got a carburetor on here as well, which looks, it's got the initials. Let me come around the other side. So this is all a bit new to me. What we got on here, initials DB Limited is what it actually says on the manifold. Okay, so we've got some initials here. Let me grab a paintbrush. There's a name I remember. So we've got an Amel carburetor, made in England. So it's an Amel, which is good. I've got some numbers down here. I think no, Amel Birmingham. So we actually have an Amel carburetor, which I'm familiar with some of the Amels. I don't know what number carburetor it is. That'll probably be hidden somewhere else. Probably just here actually. That's normally where they're hidden. But I've bought some gunk off to clean some of his parts up. Air filters on the back. To choke this machine is done just via here, okay? And what you do is you push it down, give it a bit of a twist, and it will hold into position. So that's now choked. And then when it fires, you just hit it and it comes back up. So there's your choke. You've got your mixture screws just here and here. Throttle lever where you'd expect it to be up the top. You've got your spark plug, and there's some kind of priming device here where you can pour fuel down the top to help it start as well. Now the gentleman did say when he purchased this, it's got a bit of a sticky exhaust valve, which you can also access through this single nut here. Take this casing off, and you can give the exhaust valve a little bit of encouragement just to start a bit of oil and a bit of a tap. Your points are hidden inside here, which is a solenoid or magneto, okay, via the access out the back here. It's got its belt fan assisted, so it's got a fan on the back here, which in turn, as you engage your drive, tensions a pulley up, and then that gives you your drive in your cylinders. It's got an exhaust on it, but the exhaust is not original. The exhaust should actually come down here, and then it should tee off in both directions. So this exhaust will be coming off. This is homemade. It's very solid, mounted, but there's holes and it's got bits and pieces in it that's not quite right. So that needs to be changed out. Apart from that, it's as is. The cylinder itself, as I say, is 30-inch, big metal front rollers. And to empty a grass box, you simply, this is a problem with this exhaust, is it's in the way, is you lift this exhaust, lift this grass box up, and it will tip up. I don't think we'll actually clear that exhaust. That's a problem. It won't. That's why it's not quite original. But this box will tip up, and it tips all the way over to empty it, rather than taking a grass box off, because you'll never lift that full of grass. So that's that. The oil sump is around the back here. There's a big bolt here which you need to check. That's got something written on that as well. I need to figure out what oil this takes. I've been told it takes 30 weight oil, not SEA 30, just 30 weight normal oil, because of detergents, and it will deteriorate some of the parts. So that's where your oil goes into there. I need to check that, see how much oil's in there. Massive bed knife cutter on the back, but that's pretty much it. That's the Dennis. Very, very simple, not a lot to it, but that's what you want back in 1930s, I suppose. You want something a bit simple. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to turn the lawnmower around the other way, and I'm going to access the solenoid magneto and give them points a bit of a clean, because at the moment I have no spark. That's guaranteed. I've tested that already. So we have no spark, and I'm not 100% certain I'm getting fuel down to the carburetor as of yet, but we shall see what happens. Let's try and get a spark first, and then we'll go from there. Right, I've got you in as relatively close as I can, and maybe a bit of knocking the camera about as I go, because there's not a lot of room in the old shack with this little girl in here. As I say, it is quite a fair old sized lump. So I'm going to get a decent screwdriver, should be this one. And what I'm going to be doing is just taking these, there should be 4 screws maybe, or even 3. Going to take these off. I'm not losing no bits now, Mick. I expect a bolt for one of these is about £5 grand. Slow and steady wins this race. We're in absolutely no rush at all. So let's start to get these off. The whole engine just reeks of oil. I think it's been well looked after. It's just it just needs a good clean. I've got one down here somewhere. I'm on my head. One just here. And that should release the cover for what we want, he says. So there's a cover. Let's try and move it out of the way without losing no bits. Put it out of the way. And here's your points. So if I now slowly crank that over, lose no bits now. Let's tuck this right out of the way. Let's get you gone, that's it. The points look well and truly dirtied right up. I need to clean that cam as well. They look absolutely filthy. So yeah, first thing we'll do is we'll give the points a bit of a clean. I might take the grass box off and just tie something on the back of a grass box so it doesn't tip back. So if I take this grass box off, it'll tip over. So I don't want to be doing that. So let me take the grass box off and weigh it down with something, and then we'll have a look at these points. Okay, I've got you in so close it's not even funny. All right, and just here you can see just what I'm trying to point now. There's the actual points itself. Let me get a screwdriver just so I can show you them. So here's the points just there. Okay, there they be. And they're a little bit further up, not a lot. They're not too bad. There they are. There's your points. So first I'm going to do, I'm going to get a little nail file and just try and clean those little points up. And hopefully, that'll be the cure that we're looking for. There's not a lot of room in here, plus my fingers, plus the camera. Trust me, there's not a lot of room. So I'm going to try and give his points a bit of a tiffle. I'll open them up. Slide the emery board in. And all I'm doing is just literally being very careful, giving these points a bit of a clean. So I'll do the face inside and I'll tear a bit of that emery board off. So now I'm going to open up points again. And now I'm going to go in the other side now. I'll clean those up. Sorry for moving around, but you really are quite close quarters. So that's good. I'm going to get the air compressor and just blow a little bit of air in there. And what we do is we'll reset up. I'm going to take the HT lead off and we'll see if that hasn't actually improved anything, if we've got a spark or not. Okay, so also on the back of this HT lead cover, or points cover, there's a little tiny copper contact just there. If you can see that, yeah, it's a bit low down. You can just about make it out bottom of the camera. Just here, there's a little tiny copper contact there. I'll give that a bit of a happy birthday as well. Doesn't need a lot. And you also want to just give that a light sand off just here as well, a little tiny copper brass ball, because that's where that contact, that little contact copper strip there, that's what makes the join just fair. So make sure those surfaces are well clean as well. Okay, so I've also cleaned the tab up on the end here as well. When I took the spark plug out, this started to come out as well, so we need to be a bit careful. They need to put an adjustable on this one and adjustable on the actual I'll tell you in a minute what I'm thinking about, spark plug 2. So they've all been cleaned up. I'll give a plug a bit of a clean. The plug on here is a Champion D-16. Never heard of that. So let's put it up here, let's see what we get. I just want to make sure, no, it's not going to start, is it? Don't know. Right, okay, so are you seeing that plug? Can you see? Let me know if you see a spark. Yeah, I do. Love your spark too. There it goes. Yeah, we've got a spark. That's sparking. Can you see that? Oh my lord, we've got a spark. Lovely big spark. So that's good. We got spark. I know we got compression, that I do know. But I need to check the oil first to make sure that the oil is where it needs to be. Because if it hasn't got no oil in it, I'm not even going to attempt to start it. So it needs a special oil, I don't have it. It's just straight 30 weight. So that goes into there. So there's 2 or 3 areas where you need to clean up, you know. And any one of these areas can give you a few problems. So I'm now super chuffed I have a spark. Super chuffed. Let me just nick that up. Okay, so I have just checked the oil, and the oil is just above the danger limit. It takes quite a fair old bit, to be fair. Now, my question I've got to myself is, do I use straight 30 weight oil or do I use SCA 30? It may be a bit thin. The danger oil level is there, and we're about here is where we are, so I don't want to be firing it up just yet. So I've asked the Vintage Lawnmower Company what they think, or Vintage Lawnmower Group what they think, and if it comes back with SCA 30 we'll be fine. Then we're good to go. It might just be I can use it just to fire it up, you know, but we shall see. So my next theory is, whilst I'm waiting, is I want to check we're getting fuel down. So I'm going to turn the fuel tap on, which I have freed up, which was a little bit stuck. I get a little bit of a gentle tap with a hammer. And I want to see if I'm getting fuel through. Now I'm assuming, and this is the assumption, that this is my little tiny tinkering button here to allow fuel up. That's what I'm guessing. I've got a bit of fuel coming out the bottom here, a bit of a leakage. Not too bad though. So I'm going to put a bit more fuel in and see if I can't get some fuel up. If not, I have to encourage fuel from the bottom. So let me put a bit more squirt in. The fuel tank is actually in A1 condition. Absolutely pristine inside there. There's not a mark in there. Let's put a bit more fuel in. I'm nearly out of fuel. To go and get some more. Just to encourage it. That's all my fuel gone. So we've got spark, we've got next to no oil. I can hear something. But I'm guessing petrol must come up through here because there's a hole here. But I'm not seeing anything. I don't think you pump it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to release this bottom one here very gently, if it'll come off, and that'll tell me if I've got fuel coming up through. The float may be stuck itself yet. Maybe that's the thing. Let's have a little look inside there. Very gently. Off either. I don't break nothing. They're going. This is a problem. It's a fear. The absolute fear of something snapping when you're working on this sort of stuff. Let me turn that fuel off quickly. Now this should just lift off. Starting to loosen up now. Get a quick little blow off of an air compressor. I don't want to encourage anything else inside here. Yeah, it is a fear when you're working on old machinery, especially when you don't know what you're doing. And I'm brutally honest, you know, I'm not got a clue where I'm even going with this. So this is all new, but that does seem to be unthreading. I'm assuming I can get straight access straight into here. This is where the throttle is hidden, and that's absolutely bone dry. So we're not getting no fuel up through into there at all. Absolutely nada. Not a thing. So the carb may have to come off yet because I'm not getting no fuel at all. So let me undo that kiddie there next. I'm undoing that to see if I've got fuel coming in, and then we can work our way around, and then we'll go from there. Okay, so with the fuel turned on, I've now got fuel down as far as the bottom of a pipe. This is a left-hand thread on the bottom of the carburettor, just so you know. So if you go to undo it normally, you snap it off. So just go a bit easy with it. So I can release the bottom of the fuel line just like so. Okay, I can turn my fuel line back on and I'm getting fuel coming out lovely. Okay, so that's good. but I'm getting no fuel coming up into here. So what I'm going to do, rather than muck about with it, I'm going to take the carburetor off, okay? And from what I can see, you have to undo this one here to release it from the manifold, and it all should then just slide out, okay? That's the idea. So let me get it undone just here. If I come across any problems, I'll let you know, but I think just undo this one. That's like a little tiny clamp. Take that clamp off, and that should, with a little bit of lubrication and what have you, that should then come off. So let me get that done and I'll come back to you. Right, I've undone that little tiny nut there, that bolt, that come off, and now the carburetor, it was, yeah, it is moving to a degree. So what I want to do is put a bit of lubrication on here. I think, where's it going to come? I think it's coming. Yeah, it's coming. I'll be off for a little while. There she goes. Carburetor's now off. Let's get it up onto the bench and we'll have a little look at this carburetor, because I believe my issue is in here, and I'm not sure how that comes apart yet. That I need to look into. We'll get a bit of a clean up and I'll come back once there's a number there too. I'll give that number in a minute. We'll get a bit of a clean up and we'll start to disassemble this whole carburetor. Rightio, so what I'm going to do first off, I've got just a petrol bath going on here. Bit of cleaning, just to get rid of some excess dirt. I'm going to remove this air filter cover off. Here's the air filter here. Just bits of string glued together. I'm going to take this nut off here. That should remove the air filter. Give it a good clean, and I'll come back once I've done that. And I've got some numbers for you guys as well for this carburetor. And then we'll start to disassemble it. Now my only fear is that it looks like there should be a screw or bolt in there that's missing. I'm not quite 100% certain yet whether or not you have to gain access via this top. I guess you do. I'm going to try and get a pair of Stilsons on here rather than using that nut, because if that nut cracks, game over. And I can also get access down through here as well. So let me get it cleaned up, get this air filter cover off, and I'll come back to you once I've done that. Okay, so I was trying to beast this air filter off. It wouldn't come, and then it dawned on me it's actually got a screw thread on there, okay? So with lots of cleaning, this little tiny collar here will move, okay? And then what you can do is you can then, once this collar's freed up, you can then unscrew this air filter, normal thread, and there it goes. It's starting to come off. And that's how you remove the air filter, okay? So that little clamp there, that had to go in the cleaner as well. So it's looking like we're not going to get the machine fired up today, because I need to get some, I've just ordered some classic oil for it, some 30 weight oil. So today won't be the fire up video, I'm afraid, but that's what it's about, right? You know, if it's not ready, it's not ready. I'm not going to rush it. So this will be going into the cleaner once I've got it all stripped down. Now the next thing I need to do is to take the rest of these components off. I've got lots of, I've got a couple of jets here to remove. So I'll remove those next. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a photograph of these and then document how many turns they go all the way in. So let me just grab a screwdriver and we can do that. Right, what I've done is I've just drawn a very, very sketchy photograph or picture of this, okay, just to illustrate where the air filter is and where the manifold goes and what have it, and just illustrate on my drawing these two jets here. So I'm going to now, these are roughly at about, I would say that one's at about 3 to 9, so let's illustrate that. And the other one is around about 1 o'clock. There, and now just want to see what these do. Just loosen them up. That's actually well seated, that one, I think. Yeah, it is. So let me document that. Well seated, so that one can come out. And we need to just put these to one side. This is actually a bolt, not a jet. So forgive me if I'm getting the wrong eyes. No, it's a flow jet, that's fine. And then this one here is at about 1 o'clock, which I have illustrated on my drawing. I'm going to try and turn that in. It won't. Will it turn out? Come on, baby. No shearing now. So just gently work it, okay? because these may not have been out for a little while. So it's going. You may have to run it, but just keep an eye on your turns. So that's one, that's half a turn. It's still going. It don't want to come out though. You need to go so easy with it, okay, and just slowly work them. There's no reason why that jet won't come out of there, but it's going to have to come out. So all I say is just rock it backwards and forwards. This is where it currently was anyway, okay. Just rock it backwards and forwards just until you start to get it. You can also put a little bit of oil down the head here of it to try and help the thread, so I may do that as well. But that's got to come out. Okay, so let me get that done and I'll come back to you. Right, this doesn't want to come out on its own, so what I've had to do is put an adjustable just behind here on this little brass nut and just loosen that off, and now it seems like it wants to come on out. So I can give the threads a good clean if it'll come all the way. Solid oil wants to stop there, but that's got to come out of there. I think it will come eventually. So just a bit of to and fro-ing to get that to come out. It's darn near there, and it seems to be a hollow bolt from what I can see. So we'll try and get this out if I can. I'm not going to give up on it, but the threads are pretty good. I don't want to break any of this casting, you see, so that's the issue. Let me continue and I'll come back in 2 ticks. And there you go, that's now come out. The threads aren't stripped at all, they go all the way in. So that should be okay when we're going to put it back in. Just need to be a bit mindful, that's all. The threads look good inside, so nothing to worry about there. So I'm just going to illustrate what these look like on my diagram, so I know which one goes where. So here's my pen. So my pointed one goes there, and my tapered edge goes there, just so I know for future reference. Right, next thing I want to do is I want to undo this little tiny bolt here, loosen that one off, and then hopefully with that one coming off, that should then give me access to two different parts of float and the throttle part of the carburetor. So let me get this one undone and I'll come back when I've done it. Okay, so once again, 2 adjustables, one adjustable on here, one on here, and then you can start to loosen that one off. Okay, that comes on out, and then it looks like we've got a jet inside here that's got to come out as well. So let me get something onto there. That would be a main jet, I would say. Got a little washer that goes on the top on that as well. That's self-explanatory. That's all good. Yeah, nothing in there to worry about. So we've got this main jet here to take out. There's a hole just here which we can see, but I want to get this out so I can get that cleaned. Right, so that little jet there, just for a little bit of encouragement. The reason I'm doing it off a camera is because these parts are damn near obsolete, so I'm quite nervous taking stuff apart. You have to back it off a few times and run it back because they're all brass fittings. If this snaps, game over. Okay, and there's your tube and jet all in one. So there's no holes that I can see at the moment on the tube, but your main jet is there, and that looks to be plugged to me. So that's good. You can probably undo this as well. I dare say that'll come off to release a bit more. There's a butterfly in here. It looks like a butterfly. I might be wrong though. I think I am wrong actually. So I'm going to try and get that undone as well, and then we need to get into here as well. Okay, so we're going to do this one first, try and crack that off. Hopefully that'll be threaded, and I'll come back when I got it running. Okay, float chamber success, and I was very nervous. I didn't want to put anything on here because that's just part of the alley casting, and that would have snapped off. So what I've done, I got a pair of plumber's wrenches in the end, and literally just got hold of the end of the bevel. I have damaged it ever so slightly, just marked it. But it was well on there, you know, there's nothing I could do about it. So I have now removed the top, and it is a normal handed thread, it's not a left-handed thread. It looks like there's been a bit of damage there prior to me. That looks old there. I don't know what's happened there, no idea. But anyway, it threads up. This hasn't got to be done really massively tight, as long as it's on. Because there's a little tiny washer there too to help you. So, but there is some damage to the thread I can see. Just here, there is some damage. It could be when I undone it, but I didn't give it a lot of physic. I just literally just got it to run, and there is a little tiny hole just here as well. Just here, which is your overflow hole. There it is there. That I need cleaning out. Okay, that's plugged, or it was until then. There's a bit of aluminium in there actually. There it is. Yeah. So I'm cleaning that up. So that's okay. My tiddler, that's working. Happy with that. Need to find out what the score is with this here. There's a bolt missing here. That's threaded, but it looks like it doesn't go anywhere. So I may just find a bolt to put into that. And then you got your float. Now you won't be able to just take this float straight out, okay, because it will be on a circlip. So this circlip has to be removed. A butterfly clip has to be removed to remove that. But beforehand, that was stuck, and that's why we had no movement. So couldn't get no fuel in. But now it is moving. Just got to remove this little tiny clip here. No idea how that comes apart. It looks like you pull it apart by the looks of it. But I should look into that. I don't want to just ruin this float, because that float is brass also, I think, at the minute. So let me suss that out, and when I suss it out, I'll come back to you. Okay, to remove this float, I think you just get a pair of long nose needle nose pliers. You push the two edges together very gently, and then the float will then come out like so. And there's your float pin there as well. Okay. And in the bottom there, we've got lots of corrosion. Not too bad. I've seen a lot worse. But now we have the full carburetor now exposed. Now I could not get this bit undone. And to be perfectly honest, there's nothing in there for me to be concerned about, from what I can see. So I don't think it's going to hurt. So next thing I'm going to do is this will now go into my ultrasonic cleaner for about half an hour, 30 minutes each side, about 60 to 70 degrees, with some hot water and some little bit of paint thinners or white spirit. That'll go into there, and then when it comes back out, I'll give you a shout. Okay, so that's the carburetor just beeped. It's had 20 minutes each side, is what I've done it at. And so around about, went in at about 60, 70 degrees, and it's now heated up slightly. Let's get a pair of pliers or forceps, because that's going to be absolutely red hot. The water is absolutely disgusting, and I mean proper horrible. Let me get the whole carb out. Drain it out. Oh, it's not come up too bad actually. Not come up too bad at all. So let's have a little look. First impressions of it after the clean. Tip him up, let it all drain out. Bit of water there. It is warm. Very warm. A few nuts and bolts, a few bits and bobs. Float pin. And that there, okay. Let's put the lid back on. Let's get a rag or something, because it is quite warm. Let's get a cotton rag. Thank you to my mate David. He bought me another big bag of rags off my old wish list. Thank you very much for that, buddy boy. So here's a float chamber. I'll give us a blowout of an air compressor anyway, just to see if there's any bits laying about that shouldn't be in here. But all in all, yeah, quite happy that it is warm. It's come up really clean, which is nice, and inside is good too. well. So this was a bit of a blow off with an air compressor, so we're happy with that. Let's have a quick look at the old float and main jet. Gently, gently. Yeah, float come up well. So did the main jet. There's no holes up this top end of the tube. I thought we might get a little bit of a clean with some sandpaper, but it's now unblocked and there's a nice hole through there now. Bit surprised about the size of that hole. Thought that hole would be a bit bigger, but it's not. Top of the float chamber looks good. You can actually see that lovely name now, Amel, made in Birmingham by order of the Peaky Blinders. There you go. So that come up quite well. Again, wants another air compress off. Happy with that. And then the main carb itself. Couldn't get that off. I'm not gonna muck about with it, because these carbs, I've even had a look for these carbs and I can't find one as of yet. So best off left alone. There's nothing in there that I can see that's going to cause any problems for me. So I'll get a quick air compress off. I'll come back once I've done that. Everything else is good and clean, and then we can start to reassemble this little carburetor. Right, so all cleaned off, all power washed off and whatever, all that sort of good yummy stuff. So let's get all the bits and bobs back. Now the only bit I am missing is on here. This is threaded, and that bit is missing there, and it looks very similar to this sort of style nut there. I'm guessing I have to find something just to fit in there. It doesn't do anything other than perhaps flooding it, so I might have to just put something in there. Maybe a cork. I have an old vintage, not vintage, but you know, from the old corks. I might manufacture that just to put into there, stop any dust getting in there to begin with, until I can find a little bolt to fit in there. So that shouldn't be too much of a drama. So we're going to attack the float chamber first. That can go up into there, like so. Get the float, and what I said, remember what I said, this butterfly clip needs to be squeezed in either side to make sure that this sits down over top of the pin. And on this pin you'll see there's a little tiny groove just here, and that's where the float's got to sit. So that goes in. You may just want to put something in the bottom of that just to hold it in place, okay? And then get your float, run it down, and if you give it a bit of a squeeze and then just slide it down, you'll hear a click when it goes into place. There. So now that float is in the right location, and it can move up and down. It doesn't move a lot, but I don't believe that was running at all full stop, okay? So hopefully that's now cured that little issue. No gasket there, and there is a bit of damage to this thread I can see. So now this pin has to sit up inside here, no biggie. It should be pretty much central anyway, he says. There it goes. And then we can then locate that, do that up. I'm going to set it there. Now if it leaks, what we may do is we may just put a little bit of make a gasket up around that just to hold it, but there's no gasket on there, okay? So we're happy with that. What went on here was a little fibre washer. I think it was that one. I've got some spare washers, but I just want to trial it first before we go any further, you know. And just nick that up. A little adjustable here to do. I know I shouldn't really be using adjustables, but that's what we're close to hand. So just nick that up. Hasn't got to be on there. You haven't got to hang on this sort of stuff, okay? That's that bit done, and now you can hear the float is now moving. It wasn't doing that before. Right, with that bit now done, what we can now do is get the main jet, which goes in the bottom of a carburetor, tube side up first. And I believe that to be blocked as well when we first attempted it. So that goes in. Threads are running a lot better now, it's been cleaned. Little adjustable. Just well seat that, it doesn't need to be done up tight. Just well seated. but it is only brass. You snap that, booyah, game over. Once that's done, the carburetor then needs to sit. Little fibre washer goes on. That then sits onto there like so, and it wants to go around the other way because that's manifold end that way. That goes onto there, and then this one here locates up through that washer. That does up there. Something like that. Get it nice and level. About there. And there were two adjustables, one to hold here and one just to do this nut up. I'll get that done now and I'll come back. Okay, and that's now been done up there with two fibre washers. I will be replacing these washers a bit later on, but obviously just want to try and get this machine running. That's the idea. Where's my little sketch of what I had? So we had the one down here, which was the point, which is this one, and that was well seated on this. So it may need adjusting a bit later on when I come back, just to make it run a bit better. We shall see it. But that's well seated. So that's what we're going to do. All the way in, and that was at about 9 till 3, wasn't it? So that's about right. So that was well seated. And then this little cookie here, which I had problems with, I now got to thread this into here, so hopefully we won't have no problems putting this one back in. He says. Just double checking the reason why, as to why that's hollow. I'm not seeing no holes in there. And I guesstimated it'd be about 2 threads hanging off the back of this. That's where I guesstimated it. Let's get a screwdriver on there, see if I can't send that home. It's going. Yeah, it's going. The threads have been cleaned up as well, so now you can see it's running so much better. Let me get this done up and I'll come back to you. Okay, that's now gone in. It was starting just to become a little bit tricky, so I just backed it off a bit, put a bit of oil in there and what have you, and just eased it back in and just blown it back out. So I've got roughly 2.5 threads that are protruding through here, which is where I think it is going to be. But now I can actually now fully adjust this screw anyway. Okay, with that locked off, I can readjust. So that's that. That's good. That's my manifold end. That's me air filter end, which is here. So now I can put my air filter back on, air filter housing. That can go on. I may have to move this about a bit, depends on the engine. This may need to sit further around because last time this was actually knocking that, wasn't it? So just going to go and loosely fit this now, and I'll come back and show you how I've got on. Okay, so as I just fitted it on, this float chamber was only about 2 mil away from the engine block itself. So actually this needs to sit slightly more off-centered. That's that done up. I can put the air filter back in of what it is. I need to try and find an air filter back cover for this. If anyone's got one, let me know. If not, I'll make something up. So apart from just that little tiny hole there, which I'm just going to put a cork in there for now, I'm just going to machine a cork in there just so it sits in. I believe it to have something in there because there is threads in there. But it doesn't actually do anything other than and have a bolt in it from what I can see. So let me know what that is there for, if anyone knows. Right, so carburetor, a little bit of white grease just on there just to make it run a bit better. That's all I'm doing. It was quite a tight fit anyway. And the carburetor now comes in. See what I mean about being offset? If it's straight, it hits the block. So now that slides on there lovely. And now my fuel line, yeah, that's not too far out. We can probably get away with that. It should be okay. So let's now secure the carburettor to the manifold. Just run that in. Make sure it's going in, which it is. Not too tight, people, just, you know, nick it up. You can always tighten it, you can't tighten it if you snap it. And then fuel line now goes underneath, and don't forget that one on here is a left hand thread. I don't know what it is on yours, but it is on mine. Let's get it started. Cool. Come on, baby. There she goes. Push it up. And then we'll nick that up. A little adjustable. And this is the reason why I'm doing this video, is because obviously I'm learning, and if anyone else, you know, wants to take one on and they're not sure, it's the little things like what's left hand thread and what's not that'll catch you out, because people hang on for that if they're not sure, and that's when things snap. And these carburetors, they're coming, you know, they're getting a little bit few and far between now. That's as tight as I want to go. I'm going to no more than that. Got the throttle linkage. How's that gone over here? That all looks quite good. I'm not going to muck with that. I'm guessing it goes in the centre hole, like so. That pushes down, and then screw that up. I think that was normal thread, wasn't it? From what I remember. Is that going down or not? I think it is. Yeah, it's going down. That's it. Choke now goes down and locks off. So I think we're nearly there. Make sure the throttle does work. Says it is. Okay, that's good. So now what we can do now is turn the fuel on. Let me tip this machine up a touch. It wants to sit on its bum because it's got no grass box on it. Let me just weigh something down in front of it just to try and support the weight. That's a bit better. So now we can turn the fuel on. Let's see what we get. Let that run down. Let's give that a bit of a prime up. I might undo this little tiny nut here. To see if we're getting fuel. I'm not, bearing in mind, I'm not starting this machine yet because I've got next to no oil in it. So I'm not even going to try and start it just yet. Oil is coming in 2 days. And there you go, we've got fuel coming down through, which we didn't have before. So now that float chamber is working. So I'm happy with that. So if we got fuel coming via the float chamber into the throat of the carburetor, there's no reason why we shouldn't have fuel coming up through. So we've got spark. I have checked the valves. They both are moving. We've got fuel coming down, so we've got fuel, spark, compression. We should need a lot more to get this old bird running, but unfortunately I'm going to have to leave it there because I've got to get the right oil for it and fill it all up because the oil is at the low mark. Unfortunately, people. So I'll take the oil off, the oil cap off, just to prove the point, and it says danger there. Danger there, and that's where we are just here, so it's got to be all the way up here. So there's nowhere near enough oil to start this machine, and I don't even want to bother Why risk it for a biscuit? Simple as. Okay, so that's where I'm going to leave it today. I'm absolutely itching to crank that handle over, but the oil is very, very low. And in my opinion, it's I'm trying to save the engine, not blow it up. So I've got to wait. Today's Monday. I've got to wait 2 days, and the classic 30 weight oil will be in. Once that's in, I shall fill it up to the just below the maximum mark. I have been advised by some good fellows on the Facebook group to once you've got the engine running, to let it run for 2 or 3 minutes and then check the oil again, because it should drop because it's being pumped. So my concern is it's got very low oil in it, unless the gentleman beforehand has drained the oil out. I don't think he has. It looks like it's been running quite low on oil. So yeah, Wednesday. So far today we've managed to obtain a spark through cleaning the points up, which is really, really good. Happy with that. What a result. I have also checked just in here, there's a nut you remove. Remove the HT lead cover, or catcher if you like, and then take the nut off, and then that exposes a valve. He did say that the exhaust valve is a bit sticky, but they're both running, which is good. So I've done that. So valves have been checked, they're moving, and the carburetor has been cleaned. The points have now been done. We've got spark. We've now got fuel going from the tank into the throat of the carburetor, which is what we didn't have beforehand. So we're nearly there, and we're nearly there inside one video, so that's super cool. The next video will be, of course, trying to fire this old girl up. And from what I understand is I've been given some advice about, you know, most Z-type engines. From what I'm led to believe, this old girl is 1933 to 1934, and it's not a Z-type, it's a pre-Z-type. These ones didn't actually have a make and model put on them. If I'm wrong, please put it in the comment section and correct me. As I say, I am learning on this machine. I've done a few Ransom Marcuses before, I've done a few Suffolk Super Punches and what have you, but this is a completely different ball game. So that's that. Only other questions I've got is if anyone knows what weight of oil I need to put into the gear casing, because that I'm assuming would be separate weight of oil. 30 weight into there, but what goes into the gear casing is a nut at the top and a nut at the bottom to drain that out. So let me know what is the correct oil to put into there. Next video, what we're going to do before we fire it up will probably be turn the machine around, take the gear casing side off, have a quick look in there, make sure everything's all good in there to go, and then as long as we've got the right oil in it, we'll go for a fire up. Hey, how's that sound? So if you like this episode of Micks Mowers and you did enjoy it, there'll be more to come, because this engine will be taken apart. I'm not sure what to do with the engine as of yet. If the engine runs sweet, then there's no, in my opinion, there's no sense in rebuilding an engine that is running. I'd much rather rebuild an engine if it's not running and, you know, trying to save it. But if the engine runs sweet, I shall leave the engine, but then we'll be taking all the stuff off, paint and decorate it up, make it look nice. And also I'm after an exhaust. If anyone has got or knows where there is a proper exhaust for this, please let me know, because the one I've got here is incorrect and I can't at the moment tip the box up to empty it. I'll take the box off, and when you take the box off, it'll all tip up. So if anyone knows where there's an exhaust for it, let me know. But apart from that, we're nearly there. Nearly there in one video of getting this old girl running. So hopefully, fingers crossed, next video you'll see of this, it'll either be up and running, or it'll be in a big bag of smoke and I'll be sat in the corner of the shed crying. So thank you very much for watching this episode. Don't forget to hit the thumbs up, subscribe to the channel for more videos and updates, and my live stream is on Saturday night, 6:30 UK time, every Saturday night. So come and check me out on my live stream. I look forward to the next episode very, very soon. But until then, people, don't forget, much more importantly, take it easy.